Hello. So I've been reading this book, Afghanistan, A History from 1260 to the Present. And I realized as I was reading this behemoth of a book that history offers me quite a lot of life lessons, and it teaches me a lot about how to navigate my everyday life, and not in some kind of empty or platitude kind of way. And it does it in very interesting narratives. So when you're reading things like narrative history, they piece together separate events and you can kind of extract things from those narratives. And one of the examples I got from this Afghan history book was this army of retribution that was sent into Afghanistan, right? So the story was that there were 4 regions that had British garrisons in them, and they were being sieged, and they didn't have any relief coming. Over time, the troops in the British garrisons kind of dwindled due to starvation, due to the Afghan winters, and so on and so forth. And what was left are these things called followers. Basically, they were people who followed the armies, because armies used to march back then. They were people who followed the armies around, and they would take care of the pack animals. Sometimes they were just family members of the soldiers, so on and so forth, right? Taking care of kind of the chores associated with camp. And there was about 13,000 of these people in this region. I think it was in Kabul, actually. I think there was 13,000 of these followers that were allowed to walk back to India without guaranteed protection. And as they were leaving Kabul, they were basically slaughtered on their way back to India, and it left something like 40 or 60 of these followers left. Now, when the British found out about this, they sent a retribution army. And on their way there, they were marching through the people that were killed. And sometimes they would know who these people were on a personal level. So there was about 13,000 of these people laid across this path that the British army had to march back to give retribution. When they got there, the rebels that had basically besieged the British garrisons were gone. And what was left is just innocent bystanders. And the British basically slaughtered some of the innocents in these villages. Sometimes these villages were actually helping the British camp followers that were trying to seek refuge. It doesn't matter, they got slaughtered. They also tore down cultural monuments. And this kind of gave me a life lesson where if you're going to be somebody who initiates something, such as the rebels, you shouldn't let innocent bystanders take the consequences of your action. That's a very interesting life lesson that I've kind of used already a few times. And another thing too is the British foreign policy inside Afghanistan can be characterized as a lot of small issues boiling up to a very big issue. The British would sometimes not budge on certain small, minor, nuanced compromises that Afghan leaders wanted. And as a result, it kind of led to this overall sentiment of hate and disdain towards the British. And it's kind of another life lesson here, which is don't squabble over pennies when dollars are at stake. You shouldn't be dead set on getting your way when it comes to every interaction with somebody that you know, when you're risking the overall relationship you have with that person, right? Those are just a few life lessons on top of the blind rage element of just killing innocent, even Hindus in Afghanistan that the British Army did. There's just so many life lessons to be learned from history, which is one of the reasons why I like to read it. And if you're interested in the particular narrative I just told, this is the story I just told, it's called the Invasion of General Pollock, the British invasion of Afghanistan by General Pollock. It was called the Army of Retribution. It's actually 2 famous paintings named after it. But with that being said, let me know what you get from history, or if you've read any history books that have given you really, really good life lessons, like this Afghan history book that I have been reading. And bye-bye for now.